And the countdown to 2020 is on. 70-plus days away from the election. The Republican National Convention will kick off today. Party heavy hitters taking the stage tonight, including Nikki Haley, Congressman Steve Scalise, Senator Tim Scott. President Trump is expected to speak in some capacity every night of the convention before accepting the big nomination with an important speech on Thursday. The GOP releasing its goals for a second term, including creating 10 million jobs in 10 months and developing a COVID vaccine by the end of the year. This is the president's second-term agenda. The convention coming as White House counselor Kellyanne Conway said that she's leaving the White House for personal reasons. Joining me right now is Trump 2020 presidential campaign senior advisor Jason Miller. Jason, it's great to have you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. What will be a success from your standpoint for the next 4 nights of the convention?
Maria, good morning. Thank you for having me on such a huge day, both the kickoff of the convention as well as the launch of our second-term agenda from President Trump. I think going into tonight and this week, it's really going to be about telling the American story, telling the stories of the forgotten men and women that President Trump reached out to in 2016, showing not just what he's done for them over their first 4 years. You can make the case that President Trump's done more for folks in America in the first 4 years than any other president in history, but also the vision looking ahead. And this is a key contrast, Maria, from last week to this week. Last week was all about grievances and painting a divisive picture of America. This week, you're going to see optimism. You're going to see a reason for people to come and support President Trump, even if they weren't with him in 2016. You'll see why we have so many people, and it's going to completely change the perception of who is a Trump supporter, what it means to be a Trump supporter. There's a lot of excitement.
So go through the agenda for us, Jason. I think one of the important ones here, obviously, jobs, creating 10 million jobs in 10 months. How is the president going to do that? And then he also wants to cut taxes to boost take-home pay and keep jobs here in America. I know that he's talked a lot about moving supply chains back to America.
Absolutely. And this is one of the things with the agenda. It's very aggressive. And I think a lot of folks last night, including the great one, Mark Levin, chimed in and said it's one of the most aggressive and proactive agendas that they've seen in history. And at the top is jobs. And that's where President Trump is really the jobs president. We talk about 10 million new jobs in 10 months. We're going to use tax credits, additional deregulation, additional tax cuts, different things to both create jobs that are here. We talk about 1 million new small businesses, obviously eradicating COVID-19. This is another key differential. I think Joe Biden wants to manage COVID-19. President Trump wants to eradicate it. That's a huge differential. But Maria, the point, and you talk about this every single day on the show, it's also about getting tough on China and stopping our reliance on China. This means bringing back 1 million manufacturing jobs from China, holding them accountable for what they did with the China virus. This is a key differential. There are a lot of things to look. Go to DonaldTrump.com, the website, and check it out. But you're going to see President Trump holding the Chinese government's feet to the fire and really getting tough in a way that we haven't seen in generations.
Yeah, and the president goes through health care, education, draining the swamp, and defending our police as also priorities for his second term, along with ending illegal immigration and protecting American workers. Is all of this resonating? Let's talk about the state of the 2020 race, Jason. This month's national poll from the Wall Street Journal and NBC News shows President Trump behind Joe Biden, ahead of the RNC, trailing by 9 points nationally. It is also worth noting, however, the same poll from that week during the 2016 election showed the same difference between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. What's your read on these polls?
Well, we're actually in better shape now than we were 4 years ago. And I'm going to put on kind of my political nerd hat for just 20 seconds here to explain to folks who are either A, at the office, or B, still at home getting ready for work. So first and foremost, when you look at the national polls, you got to keep in mind that, like this NBC Wall Street Journal, that when you go from registered voters, which is what they sampled, to likely voters, President Trump picks up about 4 points. That's because Democrats run up the score in blue states like New York and California. Republicans run up the score in red states, say like Georgia and Alabama. So there's about 4 point pickup there. Then when you look at the battleground states, the states we need to get to 270 versus the states or versus just overall nationally, we close the gap further. And so between closing it from registered to likelies, and then also when you look at the battlegrounds as opposed to the national ballot, that can close it by as much as 8 or 9 points just on its own. Our internal polling shows this either leading or within the margin of error for every state. The president needs to get to 270. We picked up about 4 points in the last 2 weeks. Rasmussen has the president over 51 right now. And so our internal polling, President Trump, we think is winning, is in position today to win this thing. And to come out of that after the Democrats' convention, pretty remarkable.
Well, the poll also finds that the president has maintained his support among white and Latino Americans. What about women? What about African American community? How do you feel about the president resonating in those two areas?
Oh, very good. And you look at especially with our African-American supporters, the Black Voices for Trump. We've been opening up field offices all over the country. A great team there with Katrina Pearson. And we talk about Gail Wilson and also Harrison Floyd. Great team here at Trump headquarters. I think we're in the neighborhood of like 18 or 19 regional offices all around the country. I know you're going to have Dr. Carson coming up here shortly to talk about opportunity zones. And this is a great agenda. Numbers also improving with suburban women as well. I tell you, Maria, that the momentum's on the president's side right now. We're pretty excited.
Yeah. I mean, I think school choice is something that people want to hear more of. I know the president spoke about education. We'll be watching what he has to say about that as well. Jason, it's great to have you this morning. Good luck. We will see you soon.
Thank you.